Live, and we've got a lively audience tonight, and of course, I would say it's a news-packed night, and news of great significance, and a real. I hate to use words like blockbuster but let's use a word that is more dignified, like uh, news of consequence with regard to and I really have to say, completely idiotic, phony, corrupt trial in Manhattan, which seems to be all at in New York City. Please, would you understand when I'm talking about corruption? I'm talking not about the entire state of New York. Not that there aren't problems in the entire state of New York in different places, but it's not the whole state. The corruption, by and large, in New York has always been located in the democratic dictatorship of New York City. And going back to at least the 1840s, it's been a corrupt city. Now, every year since the 1840s, no. Most years since the 1840s, yes. Has the corruption been some of the worst in the country? Well, it's hard to always say who's the worst in the country. It really is a matter of whether you have a crusading district attorney or U.S. attorney who picks it up. Like, if I were there now, I guarantee you lots of these people would be in jail. And I am not boasting. I am telling you the absolute truth. It wasn't that the people were particularly corrupt when I was there. They're about the same as they always were. You just had a U.S. attorney who was a Tom Dewey or a Bob Morgenthau or a Rudy Giuliani, or there are some of us that are just good at this and have a crusading spirit. And also, what's necessary to just get angry at injustice. I mean, I get angry at it. You don't understand this. Even personal injustice, I get angry at. I was brought up that way. I was trained that way. And it's almost as if I'm a person living in a world that I wasn't trained for and never believed would exist in America. This is what happens elsewhere, not what happens in America. And you're going to see that when we point out all of the problems in this case against Trump, which is merely an example of how stinking the judicial system is in the city of New York. And for years, they've done nothing about it. For years, all the phony lawyers here and all the phony bar associations, they pick on political problems to go after. They find conservative judges not qualified because they can actually interpret the Constitution. Wow. Well, let's begin with the elections yesterday. And let me give you a quick breakdown. Virginia was a disappointment. Could it have been oversold? I don't know. Glenn Youngkin had a great victory 2 years ago. In fact, it was the last big Republican year that year. The year after was a bit of a disappointment, and this is a bit of a disappointment. Not crushing, but a disappointment. Maybe, and I'm not going to fault him for this because he always should try to aim high. Maybe they were aiming too high. Maybe they're not. I mean, Glenn is I think, a really good governor. He sure as heck is somebody I'm behind on parents' rights. I just think he's done wonders on parents' rights. I think his answer on abortion is correct and moderate. I mean, it's a hard one for me for all kinds of complicated reasons, because I've come to like a reawakening on the issue of abortion, which is, I think it is at the heart of one of the reasons why we're such an immoral society. I think just a simple little explanation so I'm talking about. I think the communist success, and including God from public life, and particularly from the schoolroom, no prayer, no God, and killing little babies. Whoa. That's a pretty bad start for creating a highly immoral society. And then we follow through on the rest of it, get rid of the parents. take all the dope you want. I mean, Ohio might be an example. Ohio last night voted for an immoral America, right? Kill babies and smoke all the marijuana you want. Great, great formula for a highly moral, disciplined society. Huh? Instead of saying, discipline yourself with regard to what you smoke and what you do, and take accountability if you should bring a life into existence. There's accountability in life, children. Instead of teaching them that, you teach them, well, you can kill all the babies you want up until 8, 9 months. And even though it now is proven beyond any doubt that marijuana does some significant damage to your brain, causes significantly more accidents, including death on the road, and sure as hell isn't a prescription for a growing, vital society. You gotta have all marijuana you want. There can't be anybody that thinks this is a good thing. This is caving in to, the best way you could describe it is caving into a weakness, or it could be a horrendous mistake. This is not a good thing. It's not the sign of a vital, great society that's going to really dominate the world high on marijuana. Well, that's what happened in Ohio, a Republican state. It is very sad. Can the Republicans deal with this politically, with a better message politically? Yes. Do we have to go further and at some point figure out how to deal with this morally so we can win our country back? You're damn right. Because don't think this doesn't have something to do with the fact that this country is totally out of control right now. It has a very, very close connection. Public morality breaks down very quickly. And the communists were great at it. And combination of drugs, abortion, taking parents out of school and getting rid of God, right out of Karl Marx. Now we go to Kentucky, not nearly as significant as the Republican-Democrat thing, although it's played that way because Governor Beshear won a 6 or 8 point victory. But look at the rest of the ticket, right? Look at the rest of the races. There's nobody else. There's no Republican there that didn't win by 18% or more. Secretary of State, the Attorney General, the this one, the that one, 60-40, 70-30. It's all straight Republican. So this is a credit to how good a governor the people of Kentucky consider Beshear. You may not. I don't know. I actually haven't looked at him that much. I think his position on abortion is horrendous because, the problem with this is we do not explain who has the extreme position on abortion. They do. They want to kill little babies. And when I say that, I mean 7-month, 8-month, 9-month, 1 day before the baby's born, kill them. They even cheered for that in the New York legislature. They cheered for it. They're the ones that are out of control. Youngkin's suggestion, what was it, 12 weeks or 16 weeks? You have 12, please help me on this, 12 weeks or 16 weeks. Does anybody remember exactly what his proposal was? We have a nice big audience here, and somebody might remember.
Are we talking Virginia?
Yeah.
For 15 weeks.
I mean, some of them are 12 weeks, some are 16. I guess they never go beyond 16.
No, but
right?
he almost reading about it, Glenn Youngkin almost leaned into the abortion debate and tried to push what he considered a palatable.
Well, it is a palatable. It polls out as the answer of Americans. Something like 65% of Americans approve a delay, relatively short, and then no late-term abortion.
Currently, law in Virginia is 26 weeks.
But
that's the current law that you can get an abortion up to.
So my argument isn't that 15 is bad or good, right? I'm not making it ethical. It's just that for Republicans to lean into this issue is suicide.
Well, I don't know what that means. I mean, you have to say the Republicans have to have a position on this issue that's palatable. You can't just ignore it. Yeah. If you ignore it, then the Democrats beat you with their position. You can't defeat a position without having one, unless it's a very minor issue and you can get away with it. But on a major issue like this, not having a position would be even worse than having a position. Yeah. You have to have a position, if you want the politically correct position, this is not, in my view, this is not the morally correct position. If you want the politically correct position, it's I think 12 would be too short. It's a 16 to 22 week, you can have an abortion. But after that, sorry.
They have to settle on a number and stick to it.
Yeah, you got to make this decision. You have some accountability. You got to make this decision responsibly and at an early enough stage so you're not risking killing basically a baby that can live outside the womb. And I think that is the view of the majority of Republicans and independents. And it comes close to the view of a majority of Democrats. Where we get killed is they paint us as wanting to eliminate all abortions. So women are going to have to go, to illegitimate abortion mills and get killed. And it is true that some people in our party do support that. So it's hard to get the position out. Look, I didn't get nominated for president, maybe for other reasons, but if you ask Donald Trump and other political experts, it's solely because I was what I would regard as partially pro-choice. And I couldn't get elected. And I was told, don't even try again. So if you think I'd have made a really good president and avoided some of the problems of the last 10, 12 years, you got rid of me on abortion. And did you save any lives doing that? Of course, when I was mayor, I had the same position, and I saved lots of lives because I introduced in a city that had open abortion, massive adoption, because it was the only way my conscience could deal with. I couldn't change the law in New York, and I was then pro-choice, but I always had a guilt about it. So I began an adoption fair, and all of a sudden, New York City became a big adoption city. Because I honestly think that's the answer. But okay, so in Kentucky, if the Democrats make any conclusions from Kentucky, they're silly. They can from Virginia. We can make conclusions from Kentucky that we own the place, even though the governor won, because we won everything else by 12 to 30%. Now we go to Mississippi. Mississippi, we own Mississippi. We lost. We won the governorship by less than we should have, but still by more than double digits. And we were running against, the relative of a massive American legend, who I think is his 19th cousin, but what the heck, he played it well. But in any event, the rest of the state didn't budge from being Republican, and the governor remained. So Mississippi, no issue. Let's see what else we have there. Pennsylvania, a loss for us, because we lost another judgeship there to a crazy left-winger. And that court issued one of the most intellectually, if not the most intellectually dishonest decision of my political career, which, if I teach legal logic at any time, will be right in the front of my textbook for an example of how to show how you can defeat Greek logic and how you can prove the opposite of the case by just applying simple logic. We'll go through that one. We'll have plenty of time to go through the Pennsylvania case sometime to show you how dishonest intellectually that court is. They've just added another one like that. Although the poll from Pennsylvania recently showed Trump with a rather nice lead. And I will tell you, even though this will subject me probably to finding places to disbar me where I'm not even a member of the bar, there's no doubt that he won Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, he went to bed with a 758,000 lead. There isn't a legitimate mathematician in this country that would tell you that it's possible to overcome that. Oh, yes, it is. If you print ballots like the ones they brought down from New York, and then they intimidated the guy to lie. The guy was on television now explaining how the FBI intimidated him. And yeah, they were ballots, and he brought them down from New York to Pennsylvania. Not the first time. They used to bring down to Florida all the time. I mean, they just cheat. Why would you think that a group of politicians like these crooks that make up the leadership of the Democrat Party, who spent over $1 million to dream up Russian collusion, to make it up, and then to use it to defeat Trump, and when they failed to defeat him, to try to unseat a lawfully elected president with a paid-for fraud? People who would go get 51 intelligence, I can only describe them as prostitutes, who would write a letter saying it had earmarks of Russian collusion. They didn't even know what it was. They just wrote it because they were told to do it because they are Pavlovian, democratic, dishonest people, like the New York Democrat Party. The party says, do it, do it. Judge, I appointed you. You better do it. You think if a judge in New York, a Democratic judge, issued an opinion for Trump, he'd ever be able to survive? Don't be naive. The guy's career's over. His social life is over. All his pals won't talk to him anymore. Like Dershowitz, like Rudy Giuliani. And I have, lucky I have some conservative pals. Even some of them, I mean, what did you do? Why did you do it? What's wrong with you? Hey, I believe it. Honestly, believe it. You've known me all my life. Have you ever known me to do anything dishonest? No. Well, then why do you believe their crap now? Now, and the things that have come out, I mean, you thought I was wrong about Russian collusion. I'm talking about my friends now who have disowned me. Yeah, was I right about Russian collusion? Yes. Were they lying about Russian collusion? Yes. Okay. Well, let's try the hard drive. Remember when I first put out the hard drive, you told me I was crazy, right? You didn't think I was a Russian agent. I know that because, you've known me and you were my law partner or whatever. And, I just don't speak Russian. And you know how I feel about Russians because of communism. But you thought I was being conned or overwhelmed by Trump or brainwashed the way you are. That's called projection. Then hasn't it turned out that I was right about the hard drive? But you've never called to apologize, friends. You've never called to apologize that you assumed I was lying about the hard drive. Actually, I wasn't lying. And they were beating the crap out of me. And they cost me a lot of money and a lot of sleep for no reason other than telling the truth. You never even tried to help me. So you find out who your friends are, right? I know, but you find out who your friends are. I mean, I've had friends that are afraid to give character testimony because their law firms will throw them out. Now, Bar Association, do you hear that? What do you do about that? You know that's going on. That means we're corrupt. That means that our lawyers are so damn weak that they're going to cave. And you just let them be weak because you worship at the altar of left-wing wokeness. And you're all concerned about, you're going to be president of the Bar Association, or you're going to get to chair the next meeting, or will you be invited to the cocktail parties? Or your wife might get pissed off if you're not. What happened to integrity? I don't know.
They're dominated by fear.
Well, now let's also take a look at a piece of good news. And that would be right here at home. I'm looking over at the numbers there. So New York City is a wash. We're exactly the same as we were. No inroads for Republicans, no inroads for Democrats. You could say we switched a couple of chairs on the Titanic because New York City is the Titanic. And I think actually we didn't switch chairs because we're at the stage of the Titanic when the chairs are gone. We're at that stage where it's like, no, we're about DiCaprio and
they're hanging there.
What was
they're
the
at
girl?
top.
Who was the girl? Who was
Emily
his-
Rose or
Kate
Rose?
Winslet.
No, it was Emily. You're very good. It was Emily, but it was Kate Winslet.
Was it Emily?
I thought you were talking
was
about
Rose.
the actor.
No, it was the name in the
Her name is Rose.
in the part was
Yeah,
Rose.
Yeah.
But the actress was Emily. It was Kate Winslet
Right.
and Leo DiCaprio.
Was Jack?
Jack, yeah.
Who could have fit on that wood at the end of the movie? Just saying.
He could have what? He could have what?
He didn't have to drown. He could have fit on that piece of wood. She just didn't move over at the end.
He's about 4'2", right?
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he's a heartthrob at 4'2".
Yeah, he's a short guy. He could have fit.
But a lot of these heartthrobs are amazingly small.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Not like the John Waynes
I'm
and the
only
Ronald
5'8", Mayor. I'm a heartthrob.
I mean, yeah, but these guys are 4'2". You're 5'8". They're 4'2". I mean, Ronald Reagan was 6'2". Wayne was 6'1". Charles Nesson was 6'3". I mean, these were like real guys. I was reading a review of Ben-Hur, and they said that they did most of the things themselves. Charlton Heston did a lot of the chariot ride himself. And the English actor that had played his nemesis, also Boyd, I think, Stephen Boyd. Well, in any event, New York City, draw. Long Island, big wins for New York, in New York for the Republicans. Why is that important? Those 4 or 5 House seats that we picked up and kept in Long Island. Remember, we have only a 4 vote. They're the key to they're the key to our holding on to the House. And it looks like we're in pretty good shape there, that these people have gone back to their Republican roots, which should bode well where, Trump actually, despite the fact that they say he runs very poorly in the suburbs, he actually helped the process of bringing the suburbs back. First time that he ran, and I may have them inverted, I think he carried Suffolk and he lost Nassau, but only by 1% or 2. First Republican to get close since Reagan. Second time around, I think he won both. Then we won the Republican county executive in Nassau for the first time in 15, 18 years. Took the legislature. Yesterday, we won the Suffolk County executive, and we had the legislature already. So it's going back not to overwhelming Republican, because Nassau and Suffolk were like Orange County, California. They were massive Republican numbers that would help get you to win California and New York. But they're going back to good, substantial Republican majorities. Will it help in the presidential? Probably not, unless we get a landslide. Will it help in holding on to Congress? Yes. So that's a piece of good news. Let the Democrats not pay attention to it.
Also, Mayor, Suffolk County got their first Republican county executive in 20 years.
I just said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you talked about the House. I thought you talked about the House seats.
No, I talked about it first.
Oh, sorry. I got confused.
You also should know, Romain.
Yeah. Sorry.
He also supported me in 1989 for mayor, and he's a good friend.
Ed
Ed Romain is a very good friend of mine, and so is the county executive in Nassau. They're both really solid. These are really high quality guys. Either one of which they're possible governor candidates. The two of them. Of course, I'd rather see Andrew, but sorry, he's my son. We'll have to see. But we'd have to see if he wants to do that. I don't know. The bad laws, I don't know if I mentioned Ohio, but losing I did tangentially, losing the abortion constitutional amendment, and maybe even worse, the one on marijuana was really bad. Abortion is such a complicated issue. I'm not going to call anybody stupid. I'm not going to call anybody dumb. I'm not going to call anybody anything on it other than people have very, very deeply held, and except for the ones who are Marxists who are exploiting it, in many ways, legitimate views. And they can be wrong. I think there's an objective right and wrong here. But it's a much more complicated issue. Marijuana is simple. In an era in which we're doing everything to make people healthier, right? We talk about the right diet, the right food, the right balance of nature, the right supplements, right? People spend a good deal of time, a good deal of effort, and a good deal of money to be healthy. This is nuts. Blow your head away with marijuana. Make it easier. Look what happened in New York. It's a disaster. We're pot capital. We have 1,800 illegitimate places, and we got 10 legitimate ones. Why they don't listen to experts? I have for years been going around the country at the invitation of governors. Gosh almighty, going back to Henry McMaster when he was AG in South Carolina. He's now the governor. And explaining, if you legalize marijuana, you're not getting rid of the mob. You're not getting rid of illegal drugs. All you're doing is expanding the market for it. Because you'll get 3 times more addicts. And they're going to want it from the black market because they're going to be able to get more of it. They're going to be able to get what they regard as better quality, and they'll be able to get it faster from the black market. You're going to expand the black market. So right now, the black market is 12 legitimate shops in New York and 1,400 illegal ones. I mean, you might as well not have a legal market. And what have you done for the illegal marijuana drug people? You've created a bonanza. You are advertising to create clients for them. And we've got a nitwit mayor who says, we're going to make a fortune on drugs and gambling. Yeah, and we're going to be Sodom and Gomorrah. Idiot. You want to build a city of the future? You want to build a great, strong, dominant world power on drugs and gambling? Are you stupid? Yes. The answer is yes. Or are you a Marxist fool? Possibly.
And there's only 2 legal weed shops in the whole city since they ever did this whole past. Everything's illegal. So what are they doing? They're not even collecting taxes.
Well, they're not going to collect taxes. They're collecting pennies in taxes, and the mob and the cartels are making a damn fortune. Their business in New York has tripled. When somebody wrote a great article, but they don't read great articles. They just read crap. Most of them don't even read, I don't think. Somebody has to read to them. Somebody has to read to Adams, I think. I wonder what the last book he read is.
Well, what's even worse than that?
No, I don't think he reads because he talks directly to God.
He's Gandhi also.
Well, Gandhi read, I think. Well, we're going off the point here, boys. We're going off the point. So we're going to take a short break so we can get back on the point, because we got to do a job. We got to do a job on that judge, the law clerk. And since he likes to do a job on Trump's family, how about we do a job on her, on his wife, who turns out to be a Trump hater, and a woman of, well, you'll see. Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. When they come back, I'm saying a prayer for Peter Vallone, who's very much alive, but I'm saying a prayer for Peter Vallone because if I didn't have a Democrat like Peter Vallone, I would not have been able to accomplish for the people of the city of New York what I did. Because the man put the people of the city of New York ahead of everything except his conscience. Man went to church every day. He made me feel guilty. He was and is a wonderful man, and at the same time, a very, very tough politician. You don't want to run against him. I mean, when we had our battles, it was all battle. And then we'd sit down after it was over, and we'd figure out what's best for the city. Always. Oh, even when we were theoretically, I mean, usually we feigned being angry at each other, so the press would think we were having a battle. So then we could settle it. And therefore, he could give something up and I could give something up. Because you have to have a battle in order to give something. You can't just give it up. But every once in a while, we had a real battle. But we would get over it. We would always get over it by one of us or the other saying, okay, let's get back to what's best for the city. And one or two, yeah, that was stupid. What did I do that for? We don't have people like that anymore, or I can't find them. Okay, so now let's talk about the case that is hopefully going to lead to the reform of the New York court system, and we'll stop having judges selected by the worst source they can be selected by. Where's the worst place you could select a judge? A county boss, the boss of a political party in a city that has a history of corruption for 170 years. And that unless you rein it in, its natural default position will be to be corrupt. The default position for New York City, the default position for Philadelphia, the default position for Chicago, I'll give you a couple more, is corruption. You need an exceptional mayor, an exceptional prosecutor, or possibly a governor willing to intervene to throw the mayor out, like the way LaGuardia, the great legendary New York mayor, who was a very honest man and a reformer. First time he ran for office, he got 18%. Then Roosevelt threw the mayor out. He didn't, and Roosevelt, please don't get all squishy about Roosevelt, because I'm going to tell you a lot about Roosevelt. It's not very squishy. He did some good things, and he did things equally as bad. But he got rid of Walker because he wanted to run for president, and Walker would have been too much of a problem in the rest of the country because he was completely openly corrupt. Let Tammany Hall run everything. And the country started to know about it. He wanted to run for president. So he threw him out. The governor has the power to do it. He didn't throw him out, actually. He made a deal within the Democratic Party so that Walker had to resign. As a result of that, the city flipped because the corruption was so bad, they elected LaGuardia. And LaGuardia was thoroughly an honest man. So we had 12 years or whatever amount of time of honesty. Next time that happened was me, because Lindsay became mayor as a Republican, and man, did he have scandals. In fact, I broke one of the scandals, a major one in the Model Cities administration, in which they were taking massive bribes intended for poor people, which is part of what made me leave the Democrat Party. My predecessor, Dinkins, was a crook, lionized as some wonderful man, hardly took bribes for inner city broadcasting. Koch was an honest man, but he had a problem. He was an honest man and naive. As I told you, the city is reflexively, default position, corrupt. You have to intervene to stop it. Koch didn't do that. And he was shocked at the level of corruption. And the corruption was at the level of the people who appoint judges. The county leaders appoint the judges. Yesterday, when I went to vote for 5 judges, I was voting like in the Soviet Union, which is what New York is. They had no opponents. What do you call a place where you run for office with no opponents? Almost always. You call it a dictatorship. This is what we are. That's how we select our judges. They're selected because of the work they do for the political machine, or the money they give it, or sometimes, when it's really bad, the personal money they give to the crooked politicians. So we look at Judge Engelmoron, and Judge Engelmoron has been elected 3 times. Wow! That must be a very popular guy. He got elected 3 times in a row. Except he's never had the experience of having an opponent. Where the hell did he get elected 3 times and not have an opponent? In a dictatorship. And what was he before that? He was a law clerk to another judge just like him, who was appointed by the predecessor of the county leader, who may or may not have gone to prison. I don't know. So he began his career as a political hack, a law clerk to a judge, just like the one he has sitting on his lap right next to him. Now, the minute we saw the one sitting next to him on his lap, I knew there was something fishy here. I've been in court a lot. You've seen movies about courts. Maybe some of you are lawyers. Have you ever seen a judge with a law clerk sitting right there, right over here, right there? You know, you play lawyer, Ted. Say objection.
Objection, Honor.
Overruled. I don't know. I mean, why is she sitting there? What the hell is she sitting there for? I mean, does he not know the rules of evidence? By the way, they're not even all that important in a judge trial. The rules of evidence really more or less exist to protect a jury so that it doesn't get prejudiced by stuff coming in. Judges, well, real judges, he's not a real judge. Real judges can separate that and usually don't conduct a judge trial with the strict rules of evidence. That's why it was very strange when he kept turning Trump off. I mean, the judge I was a law clerk for, who was a real judge, like, for example, he was honest and he was terrifically well educated, and he had many, many years in the courtroom as a fine litigator of criminal and civil cases. I'll give you one you'll remember. He argued in the Court of Appeals the Rosenberg case for the United States government. So we're talking about a real lawyer now, not a stumblebum. And when you had a case before him without a jury, he'd want you to talk. But first of all, you could talk yourself right out of the case. I mean, a good judge will make the defendant wants to talk, let him talk. First of all, maybe we will find out something that we wouldn't find out because of the strict rules of evidence. Or number two, maybe he'll talk himself. I mean, I've seen people talk themselves right into losing a case. And Trump wanted to talk. He has been railroaded. So give him a chance to get the steam off. And then then disregard it. It's not, when they tell a jury, disregard it, you tell yourself that, right? And since you're a trained lawyer, you really can disregard it. I mean, I could hear the most prejudicial thing and it would not interfere with my making the decision because I know the rules and I know what I have to do and I know what a court will reverse me for if I don't do it. Now, I don't know if he's that good a lawyer. It seems to me, since he started off as a law clerk, he's never really been a practiced lawyer. And he's got this woman sitting next to him, telling him what to do. There may be some deficiencies here. But now the girl sitting next to him, I mean, she should be disbarred, not me. They should take all the money they used on me, try to reprogram it and go after her because she is an employee of the judicial branch of government. You know that employees of the judicial branch of government cannot participate in politics. Looks to me like she spends more time participating in politics than being a member of the judicial branch. So there's a limit in New York on the amount of contributions you can make. It's $500 total in any 1 year to keep you out of politics. 2022, she made 26 different contributions. And what she contributed to is a real indication of how she's a thorough, complete, 100% political operative. She made them to all these Democratic clubs, these very left-wing, flying off the wall, heading toward communism Democratic clubs. And she's only supposed to donate $500. She doesn't give a damn because she's protected. She's a member of the Democrat machine. She donated $3,300. Nobody did a damn thing about it. If a Republican did that, they'd get fired, but there are no Republicans. So then this year, you'd think she'd be careful. This year, she doesn't have to be careful because she lives in a dictatorship that favors her, like Biden does and like Hunter does. And you let it happen. You voted for them. I didn't. I went in. There was only one Republican on the ballot for city council. They didn't even give me a choice for judges because this is the Soviet Union. And I voted for the poor kid running for the city council that probably got 6 votes. I mean, that's the way it is here. That's why this city stinks. That's why this city is corrupt. That's why this city loses more people than any place in the country, except possibly California, when we're neck and neck. And they got that idiot who wants to run for president as their governor. And they've got people running out of that state like crazy. And it's a beautiful state that people used to be dying to go to. And we are too. I mean, if you've ever been to upstate New York, this is a beautiful state. And this is and can be the greatest city in the world, the most exciting place to live in the whole world, unless you deliberately ruin it And we deliberately ruin it with absolutely satanic and sometimes, Marxist many times, and idiotic often policies. And you vote for them. I'm sorry. I don't know why you do it. You're brainwashed. I don't know. What happened to you? So there's a 72-page letter sent to Judge Engelmoron complaining about her and asking that she be disbarred. Now, that's how they started the disbarment of me, with a letter from some kind of a political organization who went out and just took up the newspapers and wrote it all out. And basically all of it was untrue. They've now made it worse by participating in fraud in prosecuting me and in suspending me because I'm a danger, and then not paying attention to the decision of the judge in the District of Columbia that I had nothing to do with the violence. That was not even, what did he say? The evidence wasn't even plausible that I was involved in violence, which is true. I was not involved in violence. They let people continue to practice law who kill people until they make a decision on the case. I've been waiting for a decision for 3 years. I can't practice law, which means they ruined my law practice. But the FBI did a pretty good job too when they raided my office. You don't think that this is all deliberate? I mean, you really think this is all accidental? You really think, like, in the last part of my life, after being probably the most prolific prosecutor of the 20th century, all of a sudden I became a criminal? Like, or is it possible? Is it possible that they're the criminals? Because every time we've had a test and it's come down to the wire and everything's gotten revealed, who's been the liar and who's been telling the truth? Well, now we get to the judge's wife. You're going to fall off your chair here. And I have one caveat on this. I'm a little nervous because we're depending on well, you explain it, Ted. And I want you to take this from the point of view of you go out and do what we're doing, which is continue to research it. So these are, unlike what we said before, which are also allegations, but allegations that I personally looked up. These here are astounding. Let's say them to you and let's examine how we're going to figure out the truth of it. But they certainly require an investigation and not what we usually get from the crooked Biden, New York City people. Oh, it's been debunked. Everything they said that was debunked about Biden is true. I could sometimes give you, I'm going to make up a chart. Debunked, here's how it's true. Debunked, here's how it's true. Now, tell us about Mrs. Engelmoron.
That's right. So
Engelroni, whatever.
The Post-Millennial, citing investigative journalist Laura Loomer, has revealed that the wife of the judge overseeing this case, with the man we've been talking about here, has been attacking President Trump and his lawyers on social media. Dawn Marie Engelmoron, and this is again according to the Post-Millennial, citing Laura Loomer, Dawn Marie Engelmoron's posts.
These are on X, or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter?
That's right. These were posted by Laura Loomer on
Aren't you proud
X,
of how I got
formerly
that right?
known as Twitter. And we'll put these right up on the screen. Bad language on this first one, but we're going to show you anyway. This is just what's being put out there. We're going to take it down, though. We're just going to put it up there for a second.
Can we put that on? Can we put that word on? We can't put that word on.
It was.
Yeah. We put that word on. We're not allowed to put that word on.
So we took it off.
And I don't know why, but it's written out.
Yeah, but we took it. Right, it was on there for a second. Yeah. So we're not going to put these up.
I mean, I think it's a little silly in a case like this that you can, because it proves how venal the person is.
Yeah.
But you can't.
So we won't.
When I was trying cases, I had a guy once whose hand was smashed in by the mafia, by Carlo Gambino's son-in-law, and I had the guy take his hand and show it to the let the jurors examine the hand. The defense lawyer went nuts. He said, "Mr. Giuliani's trying to prejudice the jury." I said, "No, Your Honor, I'm not trying to prejudice the jury. I just want them to see the facts."
So we won't put up any.
We
of
got
these-
him good. So
Yep.
good he threatened to kill me.
So we won't put up these screenshots, but yes, a number of them they're her with pictures that include F Trump, and again, these apparently have been posted within the last few days.
Are they all like that? So
They're all like that.
Is it
yes.
possible that this is hacked, or is it possible that this is?
It does seem almost too ridiculous, right? Like on its face.
Well, I think it's out there, so I think we have a right to alert you to it.
Yes,
But we're going to alert you to it with a caveat that this may be wrong, and we'll keep checking on it. But let's go so far as to say the following: if it's right, the judge should be kicked off the case right now. Right, he should have been kicked off the case the minute he valued Mar-a-Lago at $18 million. If you know the slightest teeny bit about real estate, that decision is so idiotic that a person making it shouldn't be allowed to judge anything. We found 12 homes in a few minutes that are 1/20th the size of that being offered and bought for 20% more, 50% more, 100% more than that. An empty lot for $50 million that isn't on both bodies of water. So,
yeah, she is denied. So this is new within the last half hour.
Who does that come from?
This is from Newsweek. Dawn Engoron, she's denying making any social media posts attacking former President Trump, stating to Newsweek, let me get I do not have a Twitter account. This is not me. I have not posted any anti-Trump messages. So that's her. She's saying this within the last half hour, that it was not her. So for what it's worth, that's just her. Again, now, Laura Loomer had kind of painted it as maybe a burner account, right? So of course, this is something that Dawn Marie would deny. I mean, I'm not surprised that she's denying it. So we'll stay on top of it. But the latest is that she is denying.
Okay, well, if she's denying it, here's what we should do. We should not be them. We should assume that she didn't do it. We should keep it in the back of our mind that the allegation has been made and investigated. But we should say she didn't do it.
If she's
and she's telling the truth until proven the opposite. And I say the same thing about my successor, Adams, who I don't have much regard for. The man is innocent until proven guilty. And I'm going to tell you also, just to be fair, it's the kind of charge that very often the candidate doesn't know about. Burner phones. We're talking about burner phones. Shadow contributions are in a big campaign, and a big campaign is anything over a couple $1 million, really. And his was 20 million, 30 million, something like that. There's no doubt you're going to, almost every campaign of 20 million or more has shadow contributions, including yours truly. In fact, I had a very interesting one. I had a guy in 2007, 2008 that contributed through the same group of people in California, that's how it was called, to me, to John McCain, and to Hillary Clinton. Same guy, one guy. And he gave them all the money. He gave all the employees the money to do it. And I honestly, I broke off talking to him until many years later. And even when I talked to him many years later, I never asked him about it. I just saw him. But I think he didn't know it was wrong. They really don't know it's wrong. I've sat with people as a candidate and said, would you contribute money to me? I said, we would love to. How much do you owe? I need a lot of money. And they said, well, I'll give you 100,000. I said, well, you can't. And this was before they had PACs. The contribution limit is 5,000 or 8,000. They said, oh, okay, let me see. I have 4 kids. I have 13 employees. Oh man, I can do that. I'll give them 5,000 each and they'll give it to you. I said, you can't do that. That's what George Steinbrenner got convicted of. You can't do that. It's illegal. A lot of people do not know it's illegal. I tell you the truth. They don't. So I don't take this. It's a crime. It's wrong. It is quite possible Adams didn't know about it. It's not the kind of stuff that gets up to a candidate. And it really isn't bribery in the sense of Now, you want to go after Adams, and there's an area that my nose tells me you should look at, and that is the big overpriced contracts for all these illegal aliens that have come here. I mean, 100,000 in 1 year, even for New York, is a lot of illegal immigrants. I mean, a lot. And since we give them premium accommodations better than our own homeless or veterans, because this jerk was encouraging them to come here, it cost a fortune. Well, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to have balance of nature time.
Device is something that you can plug into your television, and now you can use your television as a social television type experience. So in the Portal universe, you can watch your favorite content creators' videos, live streams, music. We also have TV subscriptions as well.
TV subscriptions.
You can also
regular channels, all the sports.
Right, you can actually cut your cable from your cable subscription and get QUX TV on our QX TV boxes, and you can pay half the price that you're currently paying for your cable television subscription, and you can get all the best premium TV channels and more. I mean, it's really, there's so much on there, Rudy. I mean, you've seen it.
No, I've seen it and I use it, and it's good. I mean, it's great. It's just exactly the same except for half the price. Plus, nobody is finding out what I'm watching, and that's not being reported to anybody.
Right, so you have absolute privacy using this device, which you don't have on other devices out there currently on the market.
This is absolutely great. QUX.TV is how you can find out about it. QUX.TV.
Use promo code RUDY to receive $30 off.
Well, this is Rudy Giuliani, and I'm back. And oh, there it is. There it is. See this? When that happens, I know what that means. That means balance of nature. Da-da-da-da. If you don't get this, you're stupid.
Oh boy.
Maria got, look at Maria's face. Okay, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. You're very smart. If you don't get it.
If you get it, you're really smart. How about that?
Oh, that's a much better way to say it, Ted. Would you like to sit here for a while and take over?
What the man meant was you should get it because
It's
if you
good
don't,
for you. It's good for your body.
Exactly.
And your mind.
That's right. You're foolish if you
Could
don't
I say
want to take
you're
care
foolish?
of your body.
Foolish, that's better. You're
Yeah.
foolish.
Foolish if you don't want
Or
to
not
take care
so
of your
smart.
body.
Not so smart.
There you go. There you go.
Not stupid. The only people who are stupid are the Democrats. Okay. All right. Well, would you, I mean, aren't they? I mean, who would vote for a man who doesn't know the difference between his wife and his sister? Who would vote for a man when he's in Cambodia, he thinks he's in Colombia? Okay, we'll get
Balance of Nature. That's balanceofnature.com. Be sure to use that promo code Rudy, RUDY. You're not just doing your body a favor, you're doing everything we're doing here.
Do you
a big
realize how
favor.
nice we're being? We don't require you to do Rudolph.
Yeah.
You just have to do RUDY. My mother would be very upset because she said, I don't like it that people call you Rudy.
Oh.
And I said, why? I like it better, Mom. She said, but we called you, your name is Rudolph. It is not Rudy. And I never liked any of my brother's names abbreviated either. I said, well, they all are. She said, but your father's isn't. Well, my father's name was Harold.
Harry never caught on?
You call my father Harry. Oh, my God. You better run. He was Harold. I'm surprised they didn't require you to call him Araldo, because that was, I don't know if on his birth certificate, I think the birth certificate is Araldo.
What was his middle name?
Angelo. Araldo Angelo Giuliani. From an uncle who was Angelo.
Okay. So he wasn't one of those guys out. H. Angelo Giuliani.
No,
one of those
no,
guys
no,
are
no.
W.H. Okay.
There are very few H. Angelos. They don't go together. That's like H. Carmine. You don't get too many of those. So what shall we alert them to?
left.
So this is alert time to the stuff that the crooked media is not going to tell you. Well, we got a lot of it. First of all, it looks like Israel is pretty close to being in control of Gaza City, the upper part. Gaza City has an underground, kind of like New York and Rome, but unfortunately much more sinister. And it's interesting. Their strategy here is going to be studied, I think, in future courses on military tactics. This was a very, very smart way to do it. I showed you last night on the map how they came in with 2 divisions from the north, 2 from the south. So they and they already had secured the coast. They also, did you know that because of them, they've evacuated half of the damn population to the south? They've evacuated somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million Palestinians in this period of time. But they can't get them into Egypt because Egypt doesn't want them. And God forbid they should take them to Jordan. The king of Jordan will commit suicide. I don't get the king of Jordan not taking Palestinians when his wife is Palestinian, half Palestinian. You wouldn't think she'd say, hey, Abdullah, what is this crap?
Well,
Come on.
Mayor, as a 4:30 hour time, Israel eliminated 130 Hamas tunnels in Gaza.
Yeah, and they apparently got rid of about.
And they killed the weapons maker, the main weapons maker.
Yeah, and they got rid of about half of the upper command. But the rest of them are way down at the bottom, and the other ones are in Qatar, living like billionaires. You see the guy in the Post today playing playing
squash.
No, it wasn't squash. It was ping pong. He's a ping pong player. Tough guy, ping pong. You just don't think of a tough guy being a ping pong player. I'd like to play ping pong with him. I'd take a nice, well, never mind. But here's what you want to know for sure. Why can't we just arrest them? They are terrorists. They're terrorists designated by the United States as terrorists, designated by the UK as terrorists, designated by the EU as terrorists. Can't the EU arrest them as terrorists? They're running an official, legally determined terrorist organization, and the government of Qatar is giving them sanctuary. Now, we should be able to take them, or we should be able to say to Qatar, you want to be an ally, you want to trade with us, hand them over. Come on, hand them over. I think we have a treaty with them. We can't figure out how to come up with a crime they committed under American law. Call me. I'll help you. I did it to Arafat. I had a 45-page complaint against Arafat. That's how I know he killed 27 Americans. I mean, when I was U.S. attorney, I was ready to arrest him. I did this with Judge Abe Sofair, who actually gave me the idea.
Monday, October 23rd.
But this is when we had a president. His name was Ronald Reagan. We don't have a president now. We have an empty brain walking around in a suit and not knowing where he's going. So I think time to put the squeeze on Qatar and say, we want those guys now. And by the way, Qatar, you want to be friends? Get the hostages back. All you got to do is tell those crooks in Palestine, we're not going to give you the $120 million next year. You'll get them in a second. Instead of giving them money, how about we take money away from them? How about Qatar says, sorry, or we say, because we have a man for a president, Qatar and Iran, we're going to hold you responsible if any American dies. You better be careful because, Mr. Ayatollah, I know where you live. And I know you'd want to be a martyr and go get your 79 virgins. But it may not work out that way, pal, because I'm going to send you there if any one of my Americans gets hurt. That's what an American president would do. That's what a man who protects the lives of other people would do. That's what a man would do. Boy, it's so long until the election. Oh, 30 seconds. How many more people is he going to get killed? Let's pray to God that, we're going to end now, and we're going to pray to God for the people of Israel. We're going to pray to God for the people of the United States. We're going to pray to God for all the good people of the world. And we're going to say thank you that we're Americans, okay? And we're going to be back at 3 o'clock tomorrow. And tomorrow night, we're going to come on at 8 o'clock We're going to try 8 o'clock again because we're doing a test, okay? And we'll be on tomorrow to remind you. God bless you. And we're going to have a little edition of America Mayor Confidential, and we'll be talking about the debate.